15, 23, and 12. Are you good with math? Can you add that?
I'm not about to embarrass myself.
Me either. That
That's
was,
50.
and
Okay.
that's how many inches I lost. That, like, let's say that plus.
Wow. Wow. That's
Yes.
enormous. Yeah. Hi, I'm Chris James, and you're watching Healthy Alternatives. Today, we've got a special guest, as always. Vanessa is here, and she's going to be sharing a little bit of her wellness journey. Um, she's put up some big numbers, so we're going to talk a little bit about that, and just dig into the history a little bit, see how she was able to overcome maybe a little yo-yo dieting and things of that nature. So, if you guys are interested in hearing that story, it's coming up next. All right. Thank you for spending some time with me today. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, it's definitely my pleasure. I really appreciate you taking some time to share your journey. Sometimes people get embarrassed about doing it or they get nervous about doing it. So I always really greatly appreciate those who are willing to put themselves out there and share, because I'm sure that your story is going to inspire somebody. So I was curious to know, um, when did you come across the AHA group community brand?
Okay. I believe it was about maybe 3 or 4 ago.
Okay.
Yeah. I was actually on YouTube, and I'm a big Dr. Sebi fan. I've been following Dr. Sebi for years. And I believe what probably happened was just the algorithm aligned us somehow. And I it was probably your first video that I saw of losing all this weight with fasting. And about 4 or 5 years ago is when I kind of took an interest in fasting. And
Mm.
so I saw, I'm not sure if it was your success story or another brother's success story. I saw his success story and I was just like, that's absolutely it. I was intrigued. So then I just
Mm.
started. Yeah. So about 3 or 4 years ago, maybe.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you've been with us for a while. You've probably seen some development and growth from us. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, we've been making a lot of big changes, especially the past couple, maybe 2 years or so,
Hmm.
challenges and everything like that. So that's what's up. Dr. Sabi was definitely one of my inspirations. It's funny because, so as you know, I've had several brothers come on, siblings and things. And my brother John, he was one of the first big success stories we had.
Oh,
And
okay.
he started his journey using Dr. Sabi's herbal products. So, like, I would say maybe a year and a half or 2 years before I ever started fasting or anything like that personally, my brother was using Dr. Sabi's herbal supplements. I didn't know who he was, I knew nothing. And then he actually stopped using the supplements and kind of stopped talking about them, and it kind of went silent. And then
Yeah.
I started to go on my wellness journey. And as I was learning about natural healing, I came across Dr. Sabi. And then I realized, wait, John, isn't this the same dude? Weren't you taking his herbs? And he was like, yeah. And then I got locked into Dr. Sabi. Like, I consumed all of his content. And that was back in what, 2016, something like that.
Hmm.
So it was
Wow.
amazing. All right, so let's talk. So you've been following us for a while, and you've what has your journey been like thus far? Because I know a lot of people deal with like the ups and downs. Like, what has your journey been like losing weight?
Oh, ups and downs? No, not really. Mine's kind of just been like really easy and really just a straight line. No, I'm kidding. I wish. No, I wish it was like that. Yo-yo dieting for sure. I've always kind of been like, I want to say aware or self-conscious about my weight. I grew up with, um, I'm part African, part Latina, so we are very curvy, and they used to call it big boned or whatever. So, I grew up with women, kind of criticizing the way they felt or the way they looked, or this was too big and this was too, regular, I guess, women critiques.
Mhm.
But so I became, at a very young age, I became like aware, like, oh gosh, I don't want to get big, or I don't want to do this. A few years down the line, I had kids, and they just, babies don't care about that. Put on the weight, and then the whole kind of culture where it's like, oh, you gotta lose, you gotta get snatched back, you gotta. So I tried, losing the weight, and for, I want to say, most of my adulthood, I'm 38. I was kind of like, trying to lose the weight, and figuring it all out. I wish I could say it was just like an easy fix, but it was a lot of trial and error. I want to say, now
Mm,
that I'm back, I don't think I regret any of the things I tried, because truly everything that I've tried kind of led me to this path. And
right.
now that I'm on it, I'm realizing that it wasn't so much of focusing on weight, like losing the weight. It was a lot more. And people were probably like, oh, boring. We don't want to hear it. It was really mental. When I really got my mental right, when I really started to love myself, that's where I want to say, not only did the weight come off, but it was more of like easy to kind of like stick to it,
Mm,
because I wasn't thinking, I just want to get small. I just want to fit into this dress. I just want to look snatched. I just want to look good. I wanted to really love myself. And I kind of look at it in that perspective now, more than just the weight loss. But yeah, I definitely experienced yo-yo dieting. I was a very big emotional eater, and I won't say that that's completely gone either. Um,
mm,
I am more aware of it now, but definitely, if I was to get into my feelings about it, I could be happy. We celebrated with food in my family,
yeah.
both sides of the family. Everything was food. We went to church, after church, food. We
Mm,
graduate, food. Someone passes away, food. It was just like we celebrated with food everywhere. So a lot of my makeup inside was really tied to food. I associated good feelings, bad feelings. It was like food was kind of the answer for it. So
mhm.
I feel that's where a lot of the eating came place or took place. And now and then it kind of turned into not emotional, but binge eating. And that's something that I don't think I ever experienced until I started fasting, because of the
Mm,
mindset I was. It was more of like a restriction, restrictive mindset. Like, oh, you can't eat this. We're not eating for 48 hours. You have to, instead of
yeah.
thinking like, I'm myself, I'm going to heal myself during this process. There was really just a mindset shift that really had to take place to, I want to say, do it in a more healthy way.
Mhm.
That was a
Yeah,
long.
it's Hey, listen, you're here to tell your story, the floor is yours.
Yeah.
Um, but you said some pretty key things. The first thing that really stood out was that it was a mentality shift, it's a mindset shift, and that's where you really start to see progress. I know a lot of people, you know, you jokingly say, "Oh, people don't wanna hear this part," but they need to hear this part. Like, this is the part they need to hear because what I heard you say was you became successful once you learned how to begin that process of loving yourself, and then that turned into the motivation and the force and everything that you needed to be successful with your weight
Right.
versus trying to lose the weight in order to love yourself.
Yeah.
Would that be fair?
Yes, that's very fair.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that right there, what I've noticed is like when people are able to achieve something that something similar to what you've been able to achieve, they typically have that mindset shift.
Mm.
Obviously, some people can do it. Some people jump out, they're really excited, they have a whole bunch of zeal, and they're able to lose weight, and it's great. But to maintain the weight loss and to really, get the true benefit of it, people tend to have to do that shift. So I think that's very, very key. Now, I am curious to know what how much weight did you lose during this period of time?
Okay, so during I started my journey. I mean, I've been on multiple journeys. Like I said, I've tried losing weight, and I have lost weight in the past. I was actually very successful with losing the weight. Wasn't successful with keeping it off,
Right.
because of mindset. It was more of, I'm going to do this for a period of time. I'm going to be good, and then I'm going to go right back to eating the way I used to eat.
Mhm.
Um, Never works. Well, it has not worked for me. But back in September, I had just finished taking a medical course, because I'm going into the medical field now. It's kind of like a career shift. And I just had graduated from that. And over the summertime, it was during the summertime that I did this course, I had put on I was probably at my heaviest that I've ever been without being pregnant. You could get away with those extra pounds when you're pregnant, like, it's baby weight. Fine.
Baby,
You're
eating
eating
for two.
so I was like, oh, I won't worry about it, whatever. But no, he's 4 now. So yeah, gotta get it really did. Um, in September, I remember in August, I was, but I'm gonna be all over the place with this. I had decided, I was like, you know what? I'm done. I graduated from that. Now I looked at myself and and I didn't look at myself in a way where I was like, oh, look at you. You don't look good. It was more of a like, I want to reflect on the outside the way I feel on the inside. Cause I was in a process of healing for a
Yeah.
good 2-3 years. I had came out of a really toxic marriage, and I I didn't love myself. I mean, I didn't love myself during that, obviously, marriage, because I allowed a lot of abuse to happen, and I didn't realize that until I was outside looking in, and I was like, anybody that loves their self wouldn't allow that, wouldn't allow another person to do those kind of things to them or say those kind of things to them. And once I was able to see clear and really be in my own space, in my safe place, um, the shift continued. It started before I left, because obviously you have to get to a point where you're like, enough is enough, and I'm done, and
Mm.
I'm leaving, and I love myself enough to do that. You get to that point. So it had already started little by little. And I remember listening, I would go to sleep listening to YouTube videos, just affirmations saying, I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. And something must have broke. One of the wires must have, like clicked, like, oh, I love myself.
Mm.
Okay, I'm getting out of this situation. So
Yeah.
I got the situation, and I started really working on myself. I did a lot of shadow work. I did a lot of counseling to, heal whatever was inside of me, to let me get to that place, and also to not continue to attract that kind of stuff. I needed to heal myself completely so that I can really shift my mindset, my emotional state. And after I did all that work, I was like, that, like, now I want to show that on the outside. Like, I love this woman. I love this woman that you're becoming. I want that to reflect on the outside. So it wasn't coming from a place where it was just like, I don't like the way I look. I want to be snatched. No, it was really like, girl, I love you. And I want,
Mm.
I want to see that on outside. And it wasn't even, I want everyone else to see it. It wasn't that. It was like, I want to see it when I look in the mirror. So it was so personal. It was so selfish. It was so about myself. Um, and so I was like, that's it. September 28th. I was like, I'm gonna do it. I started, and I was experienced with fasting already. So I already knew that I wanted to start fasting to get my body into that state of ketosis, because I was very familiar with keto. Um,
Mm.
Keto works for me, for my body type, I want to say. So that's my way of eating. If you're not familiar with keto, it's just kind of a low carb, moderate protein, and like high healthy fats, not, the bad fats, or got to be the good fats. I
Gotta
would
be the
have
good fat.
the good fats. And it works well with my body. So I knew I wanted to get my body into that state. It also helped with my mental clarity and stuff like that. So September I started, and I was like, that's it. I printed out 90-day journey on I printed out the 90-day journey, and I would check off every day that would go by, and I would celebrate the littlest wins. Like, I
Mm.
just went things little bit by bit, because I found when I would accomplish something, it would, even if it was the littlest thing, it was accomplishment. It'll set off that serotonin in my brain, like, woo, this feels good. Weight loss feels good, because there's so much that has to kind of shift in your mindset and inside of you, even in your heart. That needs to be celebrated, because it's so
Mhm.
easy to get, like, to fall right back into that pattern. I mean, I started journaling every day, just writing down my feelings, getting whatever was inside out, that I can, see it. I became very much into, not only organizing, but scheduling, hour to
Mm.
hour. You have to take, like, you really have to treat yourself with that much care during this process. Like, you have to plan out, just, even if it's just for 30 days, for just a week, for 3 days, plan your day out. It leaves no room for other things to come in. Because when I wasn't, like, this, and this is crazy, I associate lounging, sitting around, doing nothing with eating. If I'm
Mm.
sitting, on the couch, something in my brain somewhere stirs up like, go get a bag of chips. Like you can't watch TV without eating chips. Like you
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just those little things that it's like, had I not had it planned out, like this was my breakfast, this was my dinner, and I would track, my meals and my fitness pal. I had everything tracked out. And it sounds tedious. It sounds tedious, but you want to go after it little by little. You can just start with taking something. Oh, and this was actually something I learned in the group. You guys did a 21-day fast group last year in January. That I did, by the way. That I completed,
Ooh.
by the way. I lost
Congratulations.
20 I lost 23 pounds in the 21 days. And you're going to get mad at me when I tell you what I broke the fast with, because it's not good. It's never okay. I'm not even going to say it.
We listen, it could be a learning moment.
Oh my God, it was well, yeah, it definitely was, because I got so sick. But the day that it ended happened to be the same day that they were having a celebration at this job that I was at. And there was Kentucky Fried Chicken, because your girl
Ooh.
loves chicken. And I was like, no, well, it's okay, because it's my last day. So
My last day.
no, it was so bad. But that's where your mind. I guess that was a learning experience for me.
Yeah.
That it's
Yeah.
you do not want to reward yourself with that. That's not a reward.
That's not reward.
Now I think of it as like, before I eat something or when I'm eating something. And it's even sometimes I think about it and I'm like, yeah, I probably shouldn't eat this. Am I loving myself when I put this in my mouth? And I'm like, I still eat it sometimes. But for most of the time now, I'm aware,
Right.
and biggest thing. You would be so surprised with how much stuff you do without even thinking about it. Like, just blank mind, just doing it out of habits. And
Mhm.
that's really what happened once I started, the self-love journey, the healing journey. um I started changing my habits, and it was little habits that really led to long term success. Not only that, but sticking to it, being consistent with it. I mean, there were times when I was working out and I was crying while I was working out. Like, tears were just coming down my face, and it was like I was telling myself, "I'm not giving up on you. I love you this much. We're gonna push
Mhm.
through this workout." Because I didn't want to do it. Like, I didn't
Right.
want to do the workout that day. I could have been going through something, or something was on my mind, or something was on my heart heavy, and I was just like, "No, like, I don't want to do this," because our body wants to feel safe at all times, so we want to do whatever feels good, whatever
Mhm.
feels safe. And getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel safe. I want to stay in bed, especially here in New England when it's freezing cold in the wintertime.
Yeah.
Um, I wanted to stay in bed, but I got up and I pushed myself and I worked out, crying and all, like crying and all.
Wow.
I was like, I'm gonna do this. Just keep pushing. Just keep pushing. And the more you push, even the small victories, makes you feel good. Like,
Mhm.
I kept that promise to myself. Like, I love myself. That's what loving you feels like. Like, because I loved myself long enough, I'm able to see the results of that. So from September, I want to say September to October, I really just focused on what I was putting in my mouth, and I was doing OMAD, so
Okay.
fasting. And then in October, I was like, you know what? I want to start going to the gym, because not only do I want to lose the weight, I had already been doing a lot of studying on building muscle for longevity. And
Mhm.
so now I want to put some muscles on. Because, like I said, I've lost weight before, and I've lost weight, but I didn't see the results as much as I would have liked to see them. Like,
Mm.
I definition. Right now, I'm training for weightlifting training, because I got so much into weights that I'm like, that's the route I'm going right now. But
Yeah.
I wanted to see, like, I want to find arms like Angela Bassett, because I love her. Her
Yeah.
body,
Woo.
amazing, absolutely amazing. And so then, like I said, September to October, I focused on what I was eating. I focused on tracking my meals. I focused on just being aware of what I was putting inside. I also continued, but I did that for a month, so it kind of just became a habit. So October, started the gym, started going to the gym, not working out at home, going to the gym, started lifting weights. By December, I was like, okay, I started. I started lifting weights. I started journaling. So now I'm journaling and I'm writing down like mentally whatever I'm feeling, whatever
Mm.
I'm thinking about, my goals. Started writing down, like my goals to go into the new year. It was like, I guess it just happens naturally, right? When you get into December, it's like, oh, New Year's is coming, but
Yeah.
it was already that I was already on this journey. So it was already starting to come up like, what do I want to do in the new year? Because not only was I losing weight, was I sticking to this routine, but I was gaining confidence from it. Like the more wins, the little wins that I would accomplish, I gained
Mhm.
confidence from that. And when you're confident in something, you become even more consistent in doing
Yep.
it. So by the new year, I had already lost, I want to say September to December, I had lost about 40 pounds. Um, and that was OMAD. There were
Not
certain times where I was like, I do a 3-day fast, and I would just do a 3-day fast because my body felt like it needed it.
mhm.
And it was mostly around like the holidays. Which is crazy. I even stuck to, my way of eating through the holidays. I guess your mindset and your habits, it already shifted. So
Oh, okay. That's
yeah,
one of the benefits of getting started early because you got started in September.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So by the holidays, we were good. I was like, no, I'm not gonna have
Yeah.
it. Oh, I know. Um, but yeah, so I had lost 40 pounds by December. And then from January, I guess when you start, I guess, lifting weights, muscle kind I don't does it weigh more than fat, or or does it just take up less room than fat? Because
Well,
I
it's
think
it's more lean. It's more lean, so you're gonna look it's gonna alter your physique, but they do say it weighs more. Yeah, for sure, it's denser.
okay.
Mhm.
So then I was not seeing the scale move too much, and I was just like, oh my gosh, what's going on? But I had to give myself grace. And that's the difference from before. Once I like,
Mhm.
if I would stall, or if I'm like, oh, it's not working, forget it. I'm just like, give up. Or it's easier for other people to influence me, like, girl, you can eat that cake. Girl, you can
Right.
have one. Girl, so it would be easier. But this time around, I was just like, no, just keep going. Like the scale's not moving, but I like the way I'm looking. Just keep
Mhm.
going, you know?
By
Um,
chance, were you tracking your inches? Did you tape yourself?
yeah, yes, I did. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I, I was like, I'm gonna be so prepared. I'm coming with all my stuff because I took, I had the schedule, I had my I have everything written down, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna bring these. Yeah, I forgot I'm on the kitchen table. Okay, I'm not home. I'm not home. I'm at my parents' house right now, and of course, I forgot I'm on the kitchen table. But
It's okay.
yes, so in the first 90 days, let me see if I can. Let me see if I can remember this. There was 15, 23, 15, 23, and 12. 15, 23, and 12. Are you good with math? Can you add that out?
I could put it in my computer here. You
23.
said 15, 23, and 12.
Mhm.
I'm not about to embarrass myself.
Me either. I'm like, I don't know who's going to see this. Y'all can do it. Do it on your side.
So
That
that's
was how
50.
15, 23, and 12. And there was like point here and there. And there's actually some other measurements that I'm not remembering, but those ones are sticking out because I can see them on my chart in my head. And
Okay.
that's how many inches I lost. That, like, let's say that plus.
Wow. Wow. That's
Yes.
enormous. Yeah. Wow.
Yes. Yes. Let's say I was very swollen
Mhm.
because during that time of like studying and the courses, I let myself, and I was telling myself, I'm a big curvy girl. I'm gonna embrace that. Like I'm going with the flow, like no body shame. Like I was
Mhm.
that place in my life where I'm just gonna love myself. But
Right.
I knew, and there's nothing wrong. Like, first of all, let me just preface that before any. There's nothing wrong with being a big girl. Like if you truly love yourself, and that's what if you're okay with it, fine. For me, I tried to convince myself of that, but one, my body didn't feel great. I
Mm.
was pains in my back really bad. Um, I was having like my arms were falling asleep, so I would get the tingly feelings if I was sitting for long periods of time. I think some people associate that with like pre-diabetes. And so there was a lot of things that health-wise I knew I was not comfortable. And like I
Mm.
said, I looked in the mirror, I knew I wanted to reflect the way I felt inside. So that was just big for me. That's just me. That's my. And so yeah, I lost that many inches. And I remember once I was done with the 90 days, and it goes by so fast. If you're going day by day, you just, well, okay, I finished that day, you just check off
Mm.
that day. Like, I made it. That's all I was trying to do is take it one day at a time. I didn't even want to look how many days I had left. I didn't want to look how many days I've already made it. Some days I would look like, oh, well, you're already on day 40, you might as well go, or
Right.
45, keep going. But yeah, so I did lose a lot of inches. I was very swollen. I was very inflamed, I want to say,
Mhm.
because of the foods that I like I said, I wasn't really caring. I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna enjoy life and just eat whatever I want to, and it really caused havoc on my body. So
Yeah. And that's typical. Most people, when people in the obese to morbid obesity range in general have a lot of inflammation. It's usually pretty easy to get going. You'll drop 5-10 pounds your first day or so, and
mhm,
you'll see a lot of that weight come off.
yeah,
But what I think the key, and where you really were successful is, you did that internal work first. So you already began the process of loving yourself. Wasn't just about the physical, because, and that you've said this, when you focus on the physical primarily, when the weight loss slows down, now you're getting discouraged. Um,
absolutely,
but
yeah,
oh my God, I love your process. Uh, you know, Celebrating the small wins.
mhm,
It's funny because, when people tell their stories in their head, they usually have like the big thing that was like big for them, like the big thing that stood out for them, and that's what they want to focus on, which is perfectly fine.
yeah,
But what I find is that it's the small, nuanced things, the little things about your journey that really resonate with other people. Like, we think it's going to be this one big thing or whatever, and it's like, no, it's just that one little small thing. So
yeah,
each aspect of your journey is so important. Um, I wanted to back up just a little bit, because I like to look at history a little bit, and I
okay,
think that as we're looking at our health and wellness journey and we're seeing these outcomes and things, it's good to maybe try to figure out, well, where did a lot of these issues stem from? So you
mhm,
talked about your culture, being mixed, and just everything being about food. So that makes a lot of sense. But then you started talking about, with your marriage and just being in a place where you didn't love yourself. Do you believe that you went into the marriage in that place, or did that develop while you were married? The not loving yourself part.
oh no, I think I definitely went into that into the I went with that into the marriage. I didn't know how
Mm.
much, or how, to what extent it was that I did it. And honestly, I thought I had healed from that. I thought I was like, oh,
Mm.
I'm good. I was actually, when I met my ex-husband, I was probably at the lowest weight I've ever been in my life, because I had lost weight and I was feeling great, and I just felt amazing. I felt that on the outside, though. There was still
Mm.
I had to deal with internally, um, that made it very easy for someone to come and manipulate, say things that would completely take me this way when I felt so great out here.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm. That's very significant, because People say things. First of all, we got to touch on your affirmations and everything. We're going to do that in a second because I feel like there's a lot of intention there. But
Yeah.
um, people will say things like, "Oh, I want to find my better half," or find somebody to complete me. We say these things that just sound, I guess, romantic or whatever, but it's
Sure.
actually really damaging to say those kinds of things as if you're going to go into a relationship being only 50% of yourself and this other person is going to provide you with the other 50%. And and I think that subconsciously, because we repeat it, we hear it in movies and stuff like that,
Oh
we
yeah.
really do that, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Go into relationships incomplete. So, what I'm gathering from this, because this is your story, but another person can have a similar situation where they're going into a relationship not really complete or healed and having, their own personal struggle.
Yeah.
So, what I'm understanding is that it's important to do that work before you think it's time to give yourself to someone else, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So with the affirmations,
Yeah.
because obviously we teach affirmations, and a lot of the teaching comes from personal experimentation and just understanding how affirmations work. But you
Yeah.
do a lot of positive reinforcement. And is that something that you've like learned, researched? Did it come naturally? Like, how did you develop that?
I wish it came naturally. No, there was a lot of brainwashing that had to take place. And I don't like to use the word brainwashing because it's one of those,
Hey.
what? Like, what are you saying? No,
Yeah.
like, we are being brainwashed every day. If we're going to be 100%, if we're
Hmm.
going to keep it real, we're being brainwashed 100, like every day with whatever we watch, whatever we
Hmm.
read, whatever we're focused on is having an impact on us, whether we want to acknowledge that or not. It is. And ever since I was little, I wish I can say that there was a lot of how do I say this without like doing too much. I didn't know what it was to like love yourself. Let's just put it that way. I had no idea. I had no idea. That came out during my adulthood where I had to learn to love myself, learn how to respect myself, learn that I have self-worth. That became that as an adult, and that had to come, I don't want to say through chance, but I think it happened through me always having a sense of like, I want the truth. Like, I want truth. I want real, I want to know what's real. And so it took me down a path when I was in really dark places in my life, like really dark, where I had to climb out of there. It was just maybe looking up one video on YouTube, or coming across a video on YouTube about affirmations. And that's where I learned about affirmations, was like a YouTube video. And
Mm.
that's when I first heard about them. And I'm like, okay. So I clicked on it. And then it was just kind of like an hour long of affirmations. And I just started playing them because, like I said, I have kids and I have three beautiful daughters, two beautiful sons. And I knew that I needed to fix me and be
Mm.
good to me so that they can be great. They can be
Yeah.
healed. I don't want them to have to heal from their childhood. I don't want them to have to heal through that. If I know they'll have their own things when they get older, you know, let alone having to deal with just society's pressure. I
Right.
Once I started these affirmations, I started learning, words have power. I was in church for a long time. I want to say I was very religious for a long time. And I guess maybe hearing here and there and reading in the Bible, that words have power, words can give life or words can give death. And so I've always heard
Mhm.
about it, but never really applied it. I was very careful with words I would use, but I noticed that I was okay, or maybe just say like um numb to when someone would speak to me a certain way. I didn't
Mm.
stick up for myself. I didn't speak up for myself. And that, even though I wouldn't talk that way, letting someone speak to you, like that, I'm
Mhm.
not loving me. So
Yeah.
it was long process of kind of just like crawling out and coming across more information and finding Dr. Sebi and learning about holistic health. Like it was literally just a path, little by little, I want to say, that I stumbled across tons of information. I've read tons of books. And yeah, that's where I think I just stumbled across. And
Mhm.
maybe I wouldn't say stumble, because I do believe everything happens for I aligned with it, like
Right,
at
right.
when I needed it most, when I was ready to see it, because I'm sure it came across other times. But
Yep.
when I was ready, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear, kind of deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
it's
so when
it's
I
funny.
found out that, I ran with it. I ran with the affirmations. I loved it.
Yeah, it's funny because that's true. Like when you're the information, first of all, like one thing that I've learned from my journey is, um, whatever your spiritual belief, you believe in God, you believe in nature, the universe, whatever you believe in, most of us believe in a higher power.
Yes.
And at some point, we're reaching out to say, hey, I need information about XYZ. And what I learned was you always get the answer. But the problem is our logical brain, our flesh brain is like, that's not the answer I was looking for,
Mm.
or it doesn't come packaged the way that I want. You know what I mean? So we're not ready. So this idea that when the student is ready, the master appears is just simply because you're tuning into the frequency where the answers are being given. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
yeah, it's crazy how once you figure out how to kind of tune into that frequency, all of the answers, everything that you're looking for, it just starts coming to you. And then I think with fasting, because you're clearing out mucus and your body is working more efficiently, you get these downloads. You know what I mean? And sometimes inspiration will come to you. Uh, so it's like the wellness journey. A lot of times, weight is like the big thing. Like we want to lose weight, but then
Yeah.
it's like you get so much more from it. It's not even. Oh, it's hard to even put into words.
Yeah. So there's so many benefits. Even just for me, before I was more on like the anxious side. I had a lot of anxiety. I would even say it was close to PTSD, which is what like my therapist, and that is also something I would definitely like recommend, is like
Mm,
get talk to somebody, talk to a professional. Really, that was a really big helpful thing, is just talking about it, because you can hold things in. Like me, I'm more of a like, I don't want to burden. I used to be this person. Oh, I don't want to burden anyone. I'll just do it myself. I'll figure it out. you know
mhm.
I'll do it myself, which is not healthy, because you end up holding in so many things. And that alone runs havoc on your body, on your health, like
Yeah.
literal health. Um, and that can also trigger, you to binge eat, or I call it spiral eat, where you eat great for a while, then all of a sudden you spiral out of control, and you're like, oh, cheat day turns into a cheat week, and then cheat week
Yeah.
turns into cheat month. And for me, it's happened cheat year. You know what I mean? Like, what just happened?
Mhm.
But yeah, definitely like talking about it. And for me, fasting really gave me that clarity that I really like desired, because I had so much anxiety. I was always constantly thinking and
Mm,
worrying, because of a lot of trauma.
mhm.
And It helped me a lot with that. It helped me to kind of just like, it helped ground me. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what we're thinking about. This also meditating, big, very big on that. Like there's a lot of little things. If you think you're gonna come and get one answer, and I wish I had one answer, and it was gonna be like, this is my secret, guys. That's how I lost
Yeah.
63 pounds. I don't have it. It's really little things, really small changes, small habits, that kind of lead to this. And for the
Mm,
long run, like I said,
mm,
I lost almost 100 pounds a couple times, if I'm being honest.
mm,
Like, I have lost weight before, but I've never lost weight, and I want to say loved. loved myself during the process, was graceful to myself, like, ah, we didn't hit that goal. It's all right. Let's keep going. Let's see what else, what else we can do. Or looking in the mirror, not picking myself apart, but like, oh, I love your shoulders. Your shoulders look good today. Like pointing out, trying to just stay in a positive mindset, focusing on the good things, the accomplishments, the small wins. Um,
Mhm.
Not really surrounding yourself with people that even just, they don't only have to like maybe speak negative, but uh, it's crazy because it's not until you're on this journey where this stuff you'll notice these kind of things. But like, you probably don't love yourself if you're doing that, if you're feeding yourself poison. And I was, I got into a point where I was like drinking, not hardcore. I was never a hardcore drinker. I'm a control freak. I don't like losing control. So but it was a poison that like I was like helped me kind of, I use that to like just help me like relieve some of the stress or get the edge off after work or something like that. And
Yeah.
that's really toxic to your body. And so when you get around people where they're, they do it and it's like nothing, it's just throwing them back all the time. And I'm not saying to celebrate, fine, but like all the time, it's like you almost have to kind of isolate yourself and to just take care of yourself for a little while, until you build up enough strength um to be in either those kind of environments. And sometimes honestly you don't even end up in those environments anymore. Like
Yeah.
kind of outgrow a lot of stuff, which is okay
Mhm.
because everyone's on their own journey and no one, it's not about shaming and judging and all that. Like this, like I said, it wasn't so I can show people how I feel inside. It was literally about how I wanted to see myself. That's
Yeah,
it.
but being selfish is important. I really like that you worded it that way because we usually associate being selfish with like that's a negative thing. You shouldn't be selfish. You should give of yourself and blah blah blah. The reality is we do. Most of us, I have a belief that mankind holistically are good. I think most people are good and most people will look out for one another. They take care of their children, things of that nature. I think it's um, because of movie and propaganda, it's glorified to give so much of yourself that you die. You become a martyr. You like, you know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah.
like the ultimate thing to give yourself for someone else.
Even in
And
motherhood, like, society's like, oh, you have to die to yourself and become nothing and you give everything to your child. And honestly, it wasn't until I started taking care of me, like putting me
mhm,
first, filling my cup, saying my affirmations, healing myself, I can be a better mother because of that. I've always kind of been intentional about mommyhood. That's just like I've just been very intentional ever since I became a mother. But there's something about loving yourself and just your kids seeing that you don't got to do a lot. They're going to watch you either way, regardless. They're going to do what
mhm,
you can say whatever you want to say, but they're going to watch you and they're going to, do those things. So
mm,
they're going to repeat that. So focusing on me helps take away that burden of, oh, I have to be, like a great mom, a perfect mom, because they're going to see a happy mom, a happy woman
mm,
that loves herself, that respects herself, that has self-worth. They're going to see that and they will emulate that. I mean, everyone has their own path. They'll choose whatever they want, but to have that as an example is powerful. Like, in my
you
opinion.
got it. No, you got it. You got it. This is why I preach this.
For a second.
Huh?
I said I'm getting all passionate for a second, but
No, you got it because um you know, you talked about the learning and the unlearning and the relearning process, and this is one of those key points that people have to be willing to um, go against the grain, go against what they're comfortable with.
yeah.
Like if it's comfortable, it's weird to say, but it's comfortable to give of yourself and just forget about yourself, put yourself on the back burner, and just do for everybody else. But obviously, one of the most powerful statements that I've ever heard is you can't pour from an empty cup. And that right there is just like if people really understood that, then they would get what you're saying. Because essentially what you're saying is take care of you so you could take care of your children, but also through your actions and your energy, your children will pick up on that. Children are so sensitive to energy,
My God.
and like when something was going on with my parents when I was years old, 7 years old, they couldn't hide it. You know what I mean? Like there was no hiding it. I
Mm,
knew when something was wrong with either one of my parents, and I knew when they were at odds with each other. Like
yeah,
you could just tell. So, this whole thing that we do where we pretend to be happy and we stay together for the children and all this stuff. Meanwhile, they're seeing that, and we think we're helping them, and we're inadvertently traumatizing them, you
absolutely.
know?
1000% agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring some awareness to the process that you took to get where you are, because I don't want people to miss this.
Yeah.
You systematically broke down your steps, but you took, first of all, you put together, you said, okay, there's a 90-day period of time I'm going to focus on this. And then each day you just went one day at a time. And I tell people, when you have big goals in front of you, you don't keep focusing on the big end goal, right? You come up with the big end goal, and then you create the little incremental steps in between, and you just focus on those small steps. They're just daily steps that you take. And like you mentioned, you start, you're 40 days in all of a sudden, and that becomes motivating. And also to celebrate those quote unquote small wins. These are all critical tools that people can use, especially if they're used to yo-yo dieting.
Yes.
That this can help them. But I think the most critical thing that you've talked about are your affirmations. And I mean, you really started the whole interview with affirmations and how you spoke to yourself, and just repeating the affirmations you heard on this YouTube channel. But it works though, because our minds are so powerful. You keep telling your mind something, then it's going to manifest that. And I
Absolutely.
think that's the most important thing for people to understand. It doesn't matter what you say, good, bad, indifferent. Whatever you say repeatedly, the mind begins to manifest that. And I think that you are a great example of what we can accomplish when we start to shift the words that come out of our mouth, and also the words we allow other people to speak to us.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
So, so you're down 60 pounds. You've got a blueprint, which is even more exciting, because like if you wanted to lose another 60 pounds, you literally have a blueprint.
Yes.
What is your goal for the future? What's your goal? Are you looking to lose more weight? Are you looking to maintain? Are you looking to focus on other areas of your health? Like, what do you want to do in the future?
Okay, so I say that 175 is my happy weight. I guess where I feel the happiest. Because I've gotten to 175 before, and I love the way I looked in clothes. I love the way I felt. Um, but I feel like it's kind of shifted now, because now where I'm building muscle,
Mhm.
I'm I say I'm at a point, I'm like, wow, I look smaller than what I did when I was, 180, 190, but I'm a higher weight right now. You know what I mean? So I'm like, maybe 175 is not my happy weight, because you're gonna evolve, you're gonna change. I'm not 175 pre 3 kids. You know what I mean? Like now this is post, and I'm more focused on building muscle. My long-term goal is longevity. I want
Mm,
to live a long and healthy life. I want to be there to see my children graduate high school. I want to see, I want to be grandma. I want to, that's long term, far future. Um,
mm,
right now, I am reconstructing my diet. I've kind of always had a pull back and forth about, am I going to go meatless or not? I'm at
mm,
a kind of a turning point, I want to say. Of course, I mean, I followed Dr. Sebi. I loved him. The Alkaline. I even did Alkaline for some time too. Like I said, I tried a lot of different things. Um,
mm.
but keto works well with my body. But now I want to see, I want to experiment a little bit, and I want to see what I can. do with meatless protein to build the body that I want. I would
Mhm.
love to enter not a weightlifting competition, but kind of just like um, natural bodybuilding competition. To just to like that's just one of my goals, and I want to do that within the next 3 to 6 months. So
Okay.
I'm at a point where I'm readjusting my meals. But I would love to lose maybe another, maybe 20. I don't know because right now I'm in this big sweater and I probably don't look as small, but I don't know if I like myself too small. I want to have my curves. I'm working on the thighs and the like I said, Angela Bassett. That's my model right there. So, I definitely want to build more muscle. I want to just be lean. I don't want any inflammation. Definitely want to target inflammation. And kind of narrow down what are the foods that may be causing inflammation for me. Um,
Mhm. Yeah.
and I'm 38, and women, hormones. I'm just tapping into this, so I can't say a lot about it because I'm not even going to speak on something I don't know 100%. But from my research so far, has a lot to do. Has a lot to do with our body, and especially if I have like certain goals that I have physically that I want, hormones can definitely affect it. So managing my hormones would be a goal. Maybe losing 15 to 20 pounds if muscles don't fill in me in too nice, because I won't do it. Because if they fill me in good, I'm probably not. Like I'm not being strict with myself like that. Like I said, I'm following my body and I'm following my intuition and my love for myself and going with that.
Mhm.
Stay away from negative self-talk because it's a rabbit hole and it can take you down and I can end up where I started. So
Yeah, that's good. I think, um, what I'll give a little bit of unsolicited advice when it comes
yeah.
to, like, dietary strategy. First of all, I would recommend just take your time.
Mm,
You have plenty of time to decide where you wanna go. A lot of times when there was a big vegan boom back in 2020, 2019. There was a lot of movies coming, documentaries and stuff.
yeah.
All the celebrities, everybody was going vegan. And then a month later, nobody was vegan again. Right. And what I learned from that, because it's just happenstance that I was transitioning my diet around that time,
Oh,
probably before the big boom, but around that time. And what I noticed the difference between me and other people was the how much time did I give myself to transition? Because if you watch a movie, you watch, What the Health or Cowspiracy
yeah.
or something, and you're inspired to want to like stop eating meat, and you just like next week I'm never eating meat again. That's not realistic.
No.
So, creating a gradient for yourself, creating parameters, boundaries, if you will, say, hey, if I'm gonna eat meat, I'm gonna eat high quality meat, like organic farm raised meat, right? So I'm gonna be very intentional about the type of meat I eat. Because if we're being honest, meat is not inherently bad.
Right.
Cows, aren't just like toxic creatures. Um,
You're gonna see me fidgeting. I'm just plugging in my phone so we don't get
oh
this.
no, definitely go ahead, do that. We don't want to die. Yeah, so meat's not inherently bad. It's really our slow digestion, and it's the
Mm,
processing of the meat, and the things we do to the animals prior to their slaughter. That's
right.
what really makes it bad. So if you take that time to do your research, which I'm sure that you're aware of, and just eat, say, hey, you know what, I'll eat meat, but only when I can have this quality of meat.
Right.
That might be a good place to start without having to put a lot of pressure on yourself.
I like
But
that.
um, yeah, obviously you can accomplish a lot on a meatless diet. I studied fruitarians, and
Okay.
I was just, yeah, I'm blown away at like how they're just fascinating. Some of the people who have won some pretty amazing triathlons, power lifters, people that you wouldn't expect to be on fruit only,
Mm,
and they're not just competing. They're like at the top of their different industries. They recover faster from injuries. So
That,
there's a lot of benefit. Obviously, it's important for you to manage your expectations and then also pay attention to how your body is adjusting.
mhm.
So as long as you're intentional about, as long as you take the same intention you put towards your wellness journey and you put it towards your dietary strategy, you'll be fine because it's a system. You've kind of created a system that you can duplicate in different areas of your life. So,
Yeah. Thank you. I
uh,
think that's great advice.
okay, good, good, good. I don't, I don't like to overstep boundaries.
Mm,
Um, I've, I, I have my opinions about things, but what I've learned
sure.
is everyone's an individual, so people are going to absorb information differently, and sometimes the information, even if I were to tell you fruitarian is the ultimate diet, right?
Mhm.
But
Right.
you're carnivore right now. Let's say you're carnivore right now. You're not going to accept that. It's not, that's going to be a
Right.
waste of time.
Yeah.
So the better advice that I could give is, hey, if you're going to do carnivore, just source your meat. Make sure you do, you know what I mean? It makes
Right.
sense.
Right. And I think I
Uh,
love that. I think I also noticed that about AHA, like their evolution. It's kind of like it's very much like don't try and do one thing or just do what this person or I have all the answers. Do exactly what I'm telling you to do. It's kind of like experiment with this and take it slow. Like even the way you kind of wean everybody into a fast. You start with the
mhm,
juice, you slowly get them there, but also at your own pace and also do what you're comfortable with. It doesn't feel like here you are and you have all the answers and you're trying to put that on everyone. You guys
mhm.
very much have that vibe, like evolve, everyone's evolving at their own time, at their own pace. And I love that. I think that's probably why I stayed so like intrigued with you guys for so long.
Yeah, that's good feedback. Thank you, because that is definitely the energy I want, and the reason is because um it's almost lazy to a
Mm,
degree. I'm not gonna say that you're lazy if you're like this, because that's not true. But it's almost lazy to just want someone to tell you A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, 100% what you should do without any accountability. Right? You don't have to think about things. Chris, I'm gonna turn my brain off. Just tell me what I need to do. Um,
mm-hmm.
if you're that type of person and you could do that successfully, great. But I find that most people, they're going to have questions. They're going to make
Absolutely.
mistakes. They're going to, I'm going to tell them do this at 1 o'clock, do that, do this. And then as soon as they mess up, then it's like an excuse to just say, forget it. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah,
I messed up. But it's like, there's no messing up with this. It's all about,
yeah,
it's a learning process.
it absolutely is.
Yeah. It takes a lot
No,
of time
definitely.
to it takes a lot of time to like undo all of the what you call it, brainwashing, which I think is spot on. Like the brainwashing is crazy.
It
So
is. It is. And you have to be gentle. Like, I don't think it's, pushed enough to like love yourself. Push loving yourself. I promise you, if you take the steps to loving yourself, it
mhm,
will align for you. Those things will come because you're only going to want good for you. That's one of my
mhm,
affirmations. I deserve all good things. All good
mm,
things come to me easily. Like, just repeating those things. Some of the, even when you don't feel it and you don't believe it, because for a long time, it's like, I was like, yeah, nah, no, I don't feel that way. I don't feel that way today. I don't feel
yeah,
powerful. I don't feel, yeah. But you just say it. Even me doing that, my daughters, when they're getting ready for school, you'll hear them, I deserve all good things. They make like little songs of it and they're
nice.
repeating it to themselves. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Yeah,
just love yourself. I promise. Not only will it affect you and or affect, well, not only will it impact you, but it's going to
mhm,
impact everybody around you,
mm,
and you don't, and it's almost like effortless. You want to change the world. You don't have to change everybody. Change yourself. That's my biggest thing. I'm not going to try and tell you what to do. Like, I want my results, my thing to just speak for itself. I'm not going to get up there and post my pictures every single day in the group. I'm going to post it. If it inspires one person, great. I love it. Like if this is one of your stepping stones, keep going. Just be consistent and love yourself, and it will happen. It will. It has
Yeah.
to. It's almost like inevitable. It's
Yeah.
inevitable.
You nailed it. You nailed it. Has to. It's a law of nature. And I would challenge people because it's easy to say, "Oh, it's not going to work for me." It's easy to say that. I would
Mhm.
challenge you all out there listening to just do it. Forget all of the negative self-talk. Forget all of the just random negativity. Just do it. Switch it. Okay, it is going to work. It's just a switch, Okay, it's gonna work. It's going to work.
Eh,
I'm gonna do it. It's going to work. And it gets even more powerful when you start to believe it, and then you start to incorporate like specific things that you want, outcomes that you want. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, it starts to get fun then. So
Another affirmation before we go. All good things are working out for me. All good things are working out for me. Everything works out in my favor. Like, trust me, you guys get enough negative affirmations on TV. I mean, at work, you go say, "Hi, how you doing?" Oh, you don't want to know the day. It's just like,
right.
you don't want to. You're
Yeah.
gonna get enough negative talk. Just say all things are working out for me. Even when
Yeah.
even when you cut that flat, all things are working out for me. It's gonna work out, and it will. It will.
And it
I
will.
promise you.
Hmm.
Trust me. I came from a really dark place, and I didn't realize that I was looking for the light that whole time. I'm seeking for the light the whole time. I was the light.
Mm.
I was that light at the end of the tunnel. I'm like, it looks so dark. I'm never gonna see the other side. That's because I was the light.
Mm.
I was the thing lighting it up to see enough, enough things in the room. That was me. That's you. That's you. Turn it on. Love yourself.
It's funny because I heard someone talking about the power of light versus
Mm,
darkness or over darkness, and they were saying that if you put if you put a small light in a dark room, the darkness will flee from it. But if no amount of dark can snuff out light. So we think about this power dynamic between like light and darkness, good and evil, or
mhm.
positive and negative. When reality is that it's not really that much of a struggle. The light will always snuff out the darkness or the negativity,
Always.
just the smallest little bit. So it's just about realizing. I think that's a great realization. I think that's a great place to end this. I will tell you this: your energy is like before you say anything, your energy is felt. Like you just I love doing these interviews because you really get to see like the transformation that happens internally.
Hmm.
Um my brother Steve is a good example of it. You watch his before video and his after video, or like and his energy is just completely different. And that's how your energy is. I didn't know you beforehand, but I can y'all's energy is similar. Like you're just a
Oh,
high vibrating, positive. Like I'm picking up on all of it. And
oh, good. Oh, yay.
yeah, yes, just
That's so
just
nice to hear. I appreciate
keep
it.
yeah, you're welcome. Keep moving forward.
Thank you.
Um, I want to encourage everybody watching to hit the like button if you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe. This process of the wellness journey is definitely, I think the ups and downs of it is necessary. I think
Mm,
it helps to build character, but ultimately, my mom used to say that you appreciate things that you work for versus things that are just given to you.
mm,
You just naturally are a better steward over things that you have to work hard for. So I think for you being able to have that history of hard work behind this process, I think you're going to be very successful and continue to maintain. And if you slip up, you have a bad day, a bad week, or even a bad year, don't ever forget the knowledge that you've obtained during this
mm.
process, because you can always correct. Um,
Thank
and
you.
that's all I've got for y'all. I appreciate you once again for joining us, and
My
I will
pleasure.
And I'll extend the offer if you want to come back, check in with us. We love seeing check-ins. If it's just to say, hey, I did my bodybuilding competition and talk about that, we would love to hear about it. So
Oh, great. Yeah. Thank you again for this opportunity. I really, really appreciate it, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And your energy as well. Thank you. You made me feel very comfortable and very safe to
that
express and encourage. So thank you.
that's how I get the juicy stories.
I
Gotta
know.
come on in, feel comfortable. You need a massage?
Tell me more.
All right.
I
All
appreciate you.
right,
Thank
y'all.
you.
As always, the application of knowledge is power, and I'll see you all next time.